Hello everyone, welcome you all. Today I am going to discuss about scenario based interview questions, and this is going to be a series of questions. So I am going to provide you a 20 questions on each session. So these questions are most asked in top companies like Oracle, Infosys, Amazon, Accenture, IBM. So all these companies are focusing more on scenario based interview questions rather direct questions. So let's start this session. In case if you are new to my channel, please do subscribe to my channel. So our first question is explain the different exceptions in Selenium WebDriver. Because if someone is working on actual Selenium, they will know all the exceptions. Because these exceptions are not familiar if you are not working, because there are many exceptions like stale element exception. So this stale element exception is until and unless you work on this kind of scenario, then you won't be coming across this question. So we have different exceptions like timeout exception, no such element exception, element not visible exception, stale element exception. And these timeout exceptions are thrown when the command performed on an operation that doesn't complete in a stipulated time. So for example, if my command is running for more than 5 seconds, and even after 5 seconds also it is not finding out, then it is a timeout exception. And we have no such element exception when we are trying to search for any element, like I'm searching for login button, where login button is not visible or not located, then it will say no such element exception thrown. And we have element not visible exception, and this element not visible exception will be thrown as part of explicit wait methods. So no such element is part of implicit wait methods. So these two we need to understand, these kind of scenarios where we will get this kind of exceptions. And we have stale element exception. Stale element exception is nothing but whenever you are giving any web element, like we have two web elements. So one web element is try to click on a link. After that page load, you will need to click another link. So after page load, that entire object is not with the document. So for example, if that web element is not being located even after reloading a web page, or it is not even attached to that DOM, then you will get a stale element exception. Because stale element exception thrown when we have a series of two elements. So one element is currently active element, so other one is inactive one. So after making the action on the active element, you will get this inactive element to be active. So that inactive element is not visible or not attached to the DOM, you will get a stale element exception. So let's move on to other question. So what is exception test in a Selenium? So this exception test is also one of the scenario based question, because this normally we won't experience this kind of scenarios, or we won't write any test case like this. We handle using a try catch block or any throws any exception. But this particular exception in Selenium is given in with the respect of annotation. So at the rate test annotation expected test, so expected exception, which is a no such element exception. You can declare other exceptions too. So whenever you are giving an exception in the test level, then it is called as exception test. So let's move to next question. So this question is very simple, but it's also a very scenario based one, because most of the IT frameworks, or we can say the Selenium frameworks, do follow this kind of approach. So the question is, which files can be used to as a data source for different frameworks? So for example, if you're working with TestNG framework, you can integrate all this like Excel, XML, text, CSV, JSON properties. And if you're working with data driven testing, where you can use Excels, where you can use all these kind of features. So until unless you work on those frameworks, you cannot correctly judge that what all files that you have been worked on. So these are all the files which can be worked on different frameworks. Like even if it is a business driven data framework, or a TestNG framework, or page object model, or any other hybrid framework, you use at least one of these files. Let's go to next question. So how to send, or we can say how to perform some keyword actions using a Selenium WebDriver. So this is also a one scenario based question. So you don't know how can you perform on a Selenium with an keyboard actions. So where we have some actions class, so under actions class you can perform all these actions. So when we generally use this alt shift control keys, we hold those keys and we perform some actions. So after that we will release them. So in the similar manner we need to give the commands to the Selenium so that it will perform similar kind of behavior in the Selenium. Like in the right side you can see the action, the small snippet, the code snippet is there. So actions, using the actions, and we have move to element. Under move to element we will provide a web element. Then after we will have all the methods under the action class, like click and key down, key send, keys, key up, double click, context click, build, and perform. So all this under actions class. If you work on this actions class, then you will get to know all these methods available in the actions class. So this not only provides you the keyboard, also you can perform the mouse actions also, like mouse over or move to any element using a mouse actions. You can use this actions class. So let's move to next question. How to switch to a new window which opens up after you click on a link. So in some browsers, not in the Chrome browser, but if you do the same kind of operation in IE or Firefox, their situation, like when you click on any link, it will open you in a new window. So the control is in the first window, but it opens a new window. The control won't go to the new window because your control is on the parent window. So to switch between these two pages or two windows, you need to use window handles. So window handles provide you a string, or we can say string ID, which is in the form of index model. So first parent will have one index, child will have one index. So switching these two, you need to have familiar with driver.switch to. So driver.switch to provides you a windows. Under that window you can provide your window ID. So here in the snippet you can see the string handles equal to driver.get window handles. So this window handle will provide you the only one window, but in the for loop you can see driver.get window handles. So it will provide all the windows which are present in the that driver instance. After that you can switch between those window handles by using one more command, like driver.switch to .windows. Under that you have handle. So here it is a for each loop, so whatever we have in that for each, so it will iterate that many times. If you have 10 windows open, it will perform 10 times. So in case if you wanted to go to any specific window, you can provide index number. So this is the information on the new windows. And here in Selenium 4 it offers you a new feature called opening a new tab. So you will do check out the Selenium 4 sessions in my channel. So our next question is, how do you upload a file using Selenium WebDriver? So there are many ways, but I am providing the simplest one here because I can provide you other options also, but let's discuss this and I will give you the information on the other scenarios. How can you upload any file? So to upload a file, we can simply use element.send keys. Under send keys you can provide a path, but you cannot directly provide this to any of the element should be an input type. So input type attribute you have, then only you can use the send keys to upload any file. And we do have some other methods like auto ID. So using auto ID also you can upload a file in the our browser using a Selenium WebDriver. And you do have a robot class, where using a robot class also you can send this file, where robot class uses the same kind of actions type, whatever we are performing normally, so that actions we need to provide in the robot class, and robot class will upload our file. So but this is the recommended, and if this is not working out, then you can go for auto IT and you can go for robot class. So let's go to next question. How can we enter text without using send keys? So this is most asked interview questions. So this kind of question asked in Amazon, IBM, Accenture and Oracle. So this question is little more into a scenario based question, and also it will test your technical expertise on how can you do an alternate methods where when you have a normal method existing. So here using a JavaScript we can send any file, send any text to our HTML DOM using a JavaScript executor, and you have this document.get element ID. So document provides you the complete control of DOM. So if you open any browser and click on F12, you will see elements, then after you will find a console. If you go into the console and type this document and click enter, you will get all the information that are having in the HTML DOM. And then after, if you click on dot operator in the console, you will get all the methods available under that element, where it is given the get element by ID, but you can also do check for get element by XPath as well, and in that you can provide you the element location. Then after, you can provide the value which is going to be entered into that specific input tag. So let's move to next question. Explain how you will log in into any site if it is showing any authentication pop-up for user and password. So this is also one of the trickiest question, because until and unless you won't work on this kind of scenarios, you will cannot say or you cannot give an answer for this question. Because in some websites, what's happened when you launch driver.get, then it will ask you some authentication in a dialog or an alert. So you need to go to that alert and you need to enter the username and password. So to get that kind of situation, you need to use this explicit wait here. So here in the snippet you can see the WebDriver wait equal to new WebDriver wait, and driver is asking to wait for 10 seconds. And then after alerts, so alerts also you need to see whether it's present or not first. If it is present, then only you need to provide a username password. If you are not using alerts here, you don't Selenium will not go to that alerts, so it will directly check on the page. So actually that alerts asking you to username and password, but Selenium checks for on the web page whether it has username and password. So you need to see this kind of approach as well whenever you find any alerts. And in the alerts you have that expected conditions, so it's a part of explicit wait methods. So expected condition that is alert present, so you can use this is alert present in case of it is an alert kind of authentication. Let's go to next question. Explain how can you find a broken links in a page using a Selenium WebDriver. So this is one of the trickiest question, because it is a most corner scenario, not a normal scenario where you will go and directly test this scenario, because it's a corner scenario where only few people will come across this kind of question. So how can we check this broken links? So normally if you wanted to check any links on the web page, you will go for a tag name by anchor tag A. So if you keep this anchor tag in a list and you will iterate all the list items, you will get all the list of links available on the web page. So under that links also you need to find whether those links are working or not. So to check those kind of links, you need to familiar on this HTTP responses, or we can say web services testing. Because in web service testing, what happens, like whenever you hit any URL, then it will give you a response 200 and status code as OK. So in a similar manner, we need to verify in the Selenium. After getting all the anchor tags control, you need to iterate one by one using a list, and after that for each loop. Under for each loop you can do this kind of scenario where it will verify you all the links and it will provide you status code 200 and status as OK. So if that is providing OK, then it is link is working. If it is not providing a 200 OK, then that link is a broken link. So let's move to next question. So what is parameterization in a TestNG, and how to pass parameters using testng.xmls? So this is one of the important question as well, because if you are working with any frameworks, then you need to be familiar with this parameterization, because most of the times what happen when we are working with testng XML, we will provide username authentication in using a parameterization. So you can provide an alternate way also using some data files like Excel, CSV, property files, But in some frameworks, what happened, they will use this parameter annotation, and they will pass different usernames to iterate different kind of scenarios. So invalid, valid scenarios, or we can say cross browser testing. So in cross browser testing, what happens, you will provide your parameterization, and in the parameter you will provide the Chrome versions or Chrome browser, and in the string and the method name you will have this parameter type string name. So under string name you will provide your different browser name, it will select based on that. So this kind of parameterization you need to be familiar. Until unless you work on this kind of situation or this kind of scenario, you will not able to answer this question. So do practice this kind of question so that you will be able to answer this kind of questions in the interviews. So let's move on to next question. Explain data provider in TestNG using an example. Can I call a single data provider method for multiple functions and classes? So here it's asking about two different questions. So one question is, data provider is a TestNG feature and which enables us to write data driven testing, and when we say it supports data driven testing, then it becomes obviously that the same test method can be run for multiple times with different sets of data. So the first point here, the data provider, using the data provider we can achieve data driven testing. So how? So using data driven testing or data provider, you will provide an external file like CSV or Excel file. In that you will have list of all the data, test data. So based on the test data it will iterate. If you have list of 5 rows, then it will iterate 5 different times. So it can achieve different regression testing or execute multiple times. So this is the one part of the question, and the next part is like data provider mark a method as a supplying data to test method, and the annotation method must return an object, and where each object can be assigned to parameter list of test method. So why it is mentioning the object, because in sometimes what happen in Excel, you will give you a username, password, and you will have some numbers, and you will have some string, you will have some integers, you will have some float values. So what happens sometimes in data provider, you provide these kind of inputs, and that will give you a type issue, to data type issue. So it says expecting string but found integer, expecting integer found string. So this kind of issues will occur. So object will resolve that kind of issues, where object is a parent of all the types. So using an object you can give any type, so that it will assign, or based on the condition what we are trying to give as an input, it will convert that into a respective versions. And as per of the second part of question, like the same data provider can be used for multiple functions and multiple classes by declaring data provider in the separate class and then reusing it multiple classes. So it's like a reusability of like we can say page object model, how you are declaring all the web elements in one package and you are calling them into the actual test case. Similarly you can do this kind of multiple time functions and multiple classes by this data provider. So let's move to next question. How to skip a method or a code block in a TestNG? So this is a simple question, but until unless you work on this kind of scenario, you will cannot answer this question, because in TestNG what happens, the default it will be enable equal to true. So until and unless you will provide it as a false, then only it will consider as a disable block. So you can use this kind of enable disable from testng.xml, where you can have include and exclude. But on the testng at the rate annotation level, you need to provide enable equal to false, enable equal to true. So default will be a true. If in case if you wanted to disable certain method, then you need to provide a false. Let's move to next question. So what is a soft assertion in Selenium? How can you mark any test case as failed by using soft assertion? So if you are familiar with this TestNG entire framework, where you write test cases and you need to verify whether test cases pass and fail. So how can you do that using assertions? So we have TestNG assertions, and under assertions also you will have soft and hard assertions. So what is difference between the soft and hard assertion? So if you know this difference between soft and hard assertion, then you can answer this soft assertion in TestNG. So soft assertion is an assertion which is customized error to handle certain cases in TestNG. So soft assertion do not throw exception when assertion fails. They simply continue to the next step, and they are commonly used when we wanted to perform multiple assertions. So for example, if you have 10 annotations and 10 different assertions and you are declaring with a soft assertion, so your first test case passed and second test case, third test case got failed. So what happen if you using this soft assertion, the execution flow will not be halted. You will continue the execution flow and it will continue executing all the test cases, and at the last you can throw all the exceptions using assert all. So using assert all, you will paste all the failures in your console or in your any log file, so it will not stop you any your execution. But in a hard assertion, if you fail at any step, or for example if you fail it in first test case, then 9 test cases will be skipped. So will that test cases will not be continued and it will be aborted from there. So let's move to next question. Explain what is grouping in TestNG. So grouping plays a major role, because if you wanted to declare any test cases as functional test case, mocks test case, or regression test case, so grouping help you out in segregating them in a different groups. Like this case, so and so test case is related to functional, one test case is related to regression, other test case is related to smoke. So based on the grouping, it will provide you an option called groups equal to, and under that you can provide one grouping name, or you can give multiple by separated by commas. And if you wanted to execute only a smoke suit or any functional suit, then in testng.xml, where you can provide a method in the test. So methods, under method you will have run, and under run you will have an include exclude. So you can provide your group name, and based on the group name it will execute, and it will execute all functional, regression, and smoke suit based on our groupings. So let's move to next question. How does TestNG allows you to test dependencies, and explain it with an example. So dependency is an option available in the TestNG where you can provide dependent test cases. So this case is very tricky and scenario based one too. And if you wanted to perform any, you wanted to send a message to some person, you need to log in into that environment first. And for example, if you take a Gmail, if you wanted to send any mail to some XY person, and you need to log in into that. So to execute this sending an email, you need to depend on login. So how can you tell that you are dependent on that other case on login? So using an option is called depend on method. So using a depend on method, you can provide a method name where you can execute that method before executing the current one. Like current one is like I am wanted to send a mail to some XY person, but I wanted to before login into that application. Similarly here this example says driving a car. So if you wanted to change the car, you need to drive first, right? And similarly, if you wanted to accelerate it, you need to change the gear. So without changing gear you cannot do acceleration. So it's dependent on acceleration depend on change gears depend on drive. So it is a dependent methods. So this is how we will maintain this dependencies, and you will have group level dependencies and you will have method level dependencies. You need to be familiar with this kind of questions. So let's move on to next question. Explain what does @test invocation count and the thread poll size. So this is also a corner scenario where we cannot experience this kind of questions normally. So invocation count is a parameter that indicates the number of times this method should be invoked, and thread poll size is used for executing a suit parallelly. So each suit can run it on separate thread. to specify how many times that testng method should be invoked from different threads, you can use an attribute thread poll size and along with the invocation count, and you will have a snippet here at the bottom. You can see, so thread poll size is equal to 3 and invocation count is equal to 10. So it will invoke 10 times and it will do a parallel threads like 3 for any test method. So this is also a corner case, so normally we won't experience or we won't come across this kind of question. So let's move to next question. In automation testing, is automation testing is a black box testing or a white box testing? So this is also to confuse the interview to confuse you in an interview. They will ask this kind of question. So automation testing can be both black and white box testings, so depend on our need. So like in development we use JUnit testing, in functional we use a black box testing. So we can perform both in automation testing by using different frameworks like JUnit, TestNG, BDD frameworks. You can use different frameworks based on the until unless you know this kind of black box and white box testing, you cannot answer this kind of scenario based question. So this kind of question mostly experienced when we have manager level round. So in normal technical round you will be asked in different coding standards, but if you are in a managerial round they will ask this kind of questions whether to confuse you. So you need to say that we can test both white box and black box in automation testing. So using a different framework subset, that is a different question again. So let's move to next one. So what is the need of database automation testing? Is it possible to perform database testing in Selenium? So this is a very asked question, or we can say the most important question if you are a Selenium automation tester, because database testing plays a major role in customer facing applications. So in customer facing application you will see tables or grids, so that needs to be have dynamic data. So where dynamic data is coming from, it is coming from database. So you need to be very thorough testing on the database as well when you're working with any customer facing applications. And if like it is possible, like we can do with a JDBC connection. So if you know the JDBC concept, then you can set up this JDBC in your project level and then you can perform database testing. And here you have some points, like points to note it down, like syntax to connect to database, like data driver manager dot get connection. Under get connection you will provide URL, user ID, password, and in the class level you will invoke this mysql.jdbc drivers, and this kind of setup you need to be set up in your project. Then only you can invoke any database connection and you will test there, and later you can pass the different queries. That is a different kind, but you need to be familiar with the connection first. If you are connecting database, then it's almost done. Then you can just send the query and retrieve the information, and that retrieved information you can validate with respect to the UI. So database testing plays a major role in the black box testing. So let's move to next question. Can we automate captcha and reCAPTCHA, and when do we go for manual rather than automation testing? So captcha and non reCAPTCHA, so we can do this kind of automation but through Selenium, or we can say we do have some, maybe in market we do have some availability to test this captcha, but it's not doable, or we can say we cannot do this in our automation, because the captcha and reCAPTCHA is provided to verify your authentication. So whether you are an normal person or you are a robot, so they wanted to verify are you a robot or not. So if you do this kind of automation, so that will give you passing the test case, but you should verify it manually rather doing an automation, because that will provides you more negative kind of testing, not automation testing. And when it comes to the manual testing and automation testing, So manual testing, when we wanted to perform manual testing on automation testing, so we have some certain testings called exploratory testing, usability testing, and ad hoc testing. So where our automation testing will not suits there, because I'm working on one application which is an banking application or any e-commerce application or mobile application. I do have some experience on those applications working in previous organization or previous work project. Then I can utilize, or I can put the same efforts in the new application to break the system. So our automation cannot perform such kind of behavior, or we cannot say such kind of scenarios will be covered in automation, because it won't, it works based on our inputs only. But in that situation, automation will not provide you good amount of testing like exploratory, usability, and ad hoc testing. So that required some manual effort. So these are all the questions that we have so far. So I hope this session is useful for you. In case if you have any questions, queries, do post in my comment section, and do follow me for more updated scenario based questions in upcoming tutorials. Thank you.